too
Yeah.
much. Okay. We recording, baby. So I'm gonna let you take. See, I don't like when my big ass head cut off, so I'm gonna try to lean back a little bit. Okay, let's go. We in it. We ready.
What's up, y'all? Welcome back to She Gets It Pod. This is episode 4, the de-evolution of the church, the black church, that is, because we're talking about blackness, because blackness is beautiful and we are the people.
Mm.
Okay. I have my co-host here, Drake from Everything Culture. Please make sure you check the podcast out. I knew you guys see the podcast name. Please
Oh yeah.
subscribe on your favorite podcast app, leave a review, and please like it. Okay. We are giving history, we are giving experience, and we are giving truth with solutions because that's what we want at the end of every episode.
Very
This
much so.
episode right here is super important because a bulk of how Black Americans grow up from infancy into adulthood is, the common school, work week, Saturday play, Sunday, you in church. Okay.
Mm.
Now, what church that may be, we don't know. It could be Methodist, Baptist, it could be,
Told
uh,
you.
what you say?
Told you.
What kind of church is that?
Oh my goodness. Shan, this is about Shan. Church of God in Christ.
Okay. Okay. The different names mean something. Yes. What
Oh
church did
man.
my mom go to? My mom went to her parents' church, which was a Pentecostal church.
Pentecostal,
And
yes. Had to wear
I
them
want to say
skirts. No
my dad,
jeans.
yes, my dad went to a Methodist or Catholic church
Mm-hmm.
in Philadelphia, and I would go back and forth between. Um, I want to talk about where it's at now with the Black church with you. Is it getting better? Do we see the structure of the Black church being more along the faith and the bringing in community side? Or do we see it more so focused on the media and financial side of things and the politics that come with that? All of it is what we want to discuss in this episode. We mean no harm against what anyone believes. We're not trying to disrespect what anyone believes. We just want to have a discussion and a conversation with respect and those pillars of everything culture, okay?
Let's say respect. Come on, everybody. Respect, communication, and consistency. That's what
Okay.
we're here for. The pillars. You feel,
We're gonna
and so
keep
we
it
can get to
cute.
know each other, so we can
Yes.
love one another. That's the goal.
Yes. So that's what we're discussing today. Get comfortable, okay? And get ready for some honesty.
Mm.
All right, so here we are. We're gonna talk about this thing. Um, not
Hold on,
going.
before we get started, okay. We already started. Before we get too into it,
Yeah.
we talked about the Black church. I got to do my introduction for the folks on TikTok real quick. If
Okay.
y'all hearing this, we letting people know live. We are talking about the de-evolution of the Black church here. Okay. Once again, appreciate y'all coming through. But we're going to be talking about our experiences, our point of view, our perspectives. We're gonna have some facts. We're gonna have a little bit of history into it. But we're going to talk about where's the church now, like Shan just said, y'all. So if you ever see me quiet, Shan's talking. Okay. We listening to Shan. All
Yeah.
right. So we all behave. Y'all can ask what y'all correct me if I say anything incorrectly too. And I want to say this before we get more into it, because Shan, Shan already shared a little bit with everybody here, but
Mhm.
there are historically 7 denominations of the Black church. All right. And that's the African Methodist Episcopal Church, the African Methodist Episcopal Zion Church, the Christian. How was that? How you do them balloons?
I don't know. I just said one, two, three.
Did you see them balloons?
That's fine. I
Now, if
don't know.
that was on TikTok, how was that on Zoom?
I saw on Zoom.
Oh shit, it's too close to Halloween. Excuse me. The Christian Methodist Episcopal Church, the Church of God in Christ, and the three National Baptist Church conventions, which convened the Black Baptist Church. So hold on. I ain't about to go on the FEMA, but yeah. Um, but yeah, we got those again. We gonna get into it right here with the different. It's different ones, different behaviors, different traditions, and different. How do I say? Um, I won't say spirituality, but we will get into it because there. I'm listening. We here. We here now. We here now.
Okay. I was. This is my question with this, and when we were going through what episodes you want to do, was my question. Then, has the Black church changed and lost its ethics? Question. Um, I think godless communism is a sinful nature of men today. We see it every day, and we are all imperfect people trying to follow the truthful word in order to be better people for ourselves and others, right? And I think that's like the basis and the foundation of a church space, but not for all religions. But we're focusing on the Black church. Um, some of us took a position to share the word and follow the Bible's values, and some guide with grace, and some don't. And I think when it comes to imperfect people and the world changing and politics changing and the workplace changing, I think the church sometimes is hard to evolve. And even though the government says, they want to separate church and state, I feel like at a level it sort of meddles anyway.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely. That's
and
why
so
they try to intentionally separate it.
yeah, and so I'm just like, it's kind of depending on what the situation is, it gets kind of like murky. Especially this past year with the whole conversation of like abortions and for different states. I just I want to know, is the church becoming more hypocritical, or is it becoming less hypocritical of what people do today and how families are, and the decisions people may make for themselves or their family structure? Is it more helpful today? Are we finding more people joining the truth and having the culture in the Black church? Are we finding less people joining the community of the Black church and working in the community? And when I say working in the community, I'm not talking about do you go to work in your zip code. I'm talking about, do you go visit your elders? Do you take your children on the weekends to go pick up trash or clean up the parks or give out food to the homeless, or what's the word they use now?
Volunteering, community engagement,
Yeah.
community service.
Yeah. Is it are we doing more of that or is it less of that? And
So, but can you give us some bullet points? We need to like. So, what was the first one? Because
the
we
first
going
question
down so much,
is the Black church losing its code of ethics?
man. So, asking me, look first, if we can pull our back, what is church? What do church mean to you? What does the word and the definition of church? You know,
For me, I believe church to be a place of peace, love, consideration, gathering, community, a place where you feel safe, a place where you get your questions answered as to what you don't feel sure about, a place of encouragement, and a place of mental nourishment, if that makes sense. That's what I explain to be church.
okay. So you said church is a place. So that is a definition from just a regular people. Just you can look at it. It's a building. It's a unit. But knowing the true meaning of church is the body. It's the people. Okay. the congregation.
Okay.
So if Pod Fam, if we decided we want to place, that would be church.
Mhm.
So once again, when I say this quite often, when we discuss church and we say the church is not doing this, the church is not doing that, what are you doing to put into the church?
Mm.
Okay. Because you're a part of the church in that case, you're just involved as everybody else. So all these things that we're going to be touching on today is a reflection of us always. We have to be in that mindset. So when it get into what is a church being hypocritical more, I can't say it's less than more of the culture of society right now,
Mhm.
because every person is different, every family is different, every community is different, and every each city is going to be, every church is going to be different.
Right.
I've been to some churches and I don't feel like they are Bible based. That's something I always look for when I go to the church. If it's a Bible based church, okay. I'm very mindful if feel like if I belong there. I pray. It makes sure if I have faith in that church. But you have some churches there are very much strong on government. Okay. I have some fraternal ties that a lot of churches are based off order and certain behaviors and certain government structures that you can see in the White House. All these things do come from the church. But in the
Mhm.
black church, I look for how are they actually, like you say, how are they treating the people there?
Yeah.
Can I come up and actually build a relationship with the pastors and the deacons and the bishops and things? Do we have a relationship? Because
Mhm.
sometimes, I'm not a big fan of mega churches,
Me either.
but same thing, smaller churches I'm comfortable with. Like, but smaller churches, you're gonna need more, you're gonna have more responsibility there.
Mhm.
The bigger churches, you're gonna have a responsibility, but you may not have that impact. But the impact you may be looking for. But and also, once again, go all the way back to the individualism. What are you trying to put in the church? What do you want from the church as well?
Mhm.
So that's something I'm always thinking about. So when we had the question you asked, how's it being involved? It's a yes and a no. It's gotten better and it's gotten worse. Okay. And if you know the Bible, it was said a lot of places are going to hold themselves to be a church
Mhm.
and not be a church, if that makes sense. They're not the true meaning of church. They're not representing the true intent what a church supposed to be. They're a building, they're collecting money and funds. Some of these churches are a storefront. Let's say that. Some of these churches, once again, my personal belief, if the pastor or certain leaders of the church are living well, and if the pastor eating lobster and crabs, and let me not say crab because some people might not eat that, but steak, and filet mignons, whatever the case may be, and the majority of
Flying private
your
jets.
yeah, private jets, whatever the case may be, eating conch, okay, some things people don't know nothing about. But the majority of your congregation eating ramen noodles and barely making it,
Yeah.
something ain't right.
Yeah.
If like resources, I look for a church, what are you doing to feed into community? Once again, going back to what we saying, community service.
Yeah.
Churches should be the place where you go to food banks, like a lot of places there. And not to dismiss, like if you don't have it, you're not wrong, you're not right. But I see a lot of people, the churches, they look to get because you have people that have such selfish intentions,
Mhm.
and you have people in church, they may have that backbone or that historical context of growing up in the church, that care about the community, and sometimes that's lost in translation or in the greed of individual people, which once again is nothing new. We just see it a lot more, especially with social media.
Right.
It's a video I may have to clip in here of the church congregation firing a pastor, well, attempting to fire a pastor. But if you know how church is, and it's a governmental process, when you're really supposed to be able, it's been led by the people, not by the quote unquote pastor or leader. That's something you can be mindful of as well.
Because I remember at a certain point, like your pastor, yeah, they preach and they show up at the church and they do things in the church, but they they also have this skill on the side where they also is considered a job.
Jesus was a carpenter.
So was my grandpappy. You know?
Say that.
But if there was something going on at church, he was at church. You know,
Mm-hmm.
Wednesday, Saturday, Sunday, if there was like something needed to be fixed at the church, he was there helping.
Yeah.
And the important, I would say for my family, um, the importance of going to church has faded with the new generation. I would say like when my older cousins were younger, no matter what time they came in from the club or a party on a Sunday morning, my grandpa would wake them up and tell
Mm.
them to come downstairs and sit them in the front row of the church.
Going to church.
Okay. And there would be no back talk or no slacking or
Mm.
staying in about it. But
Mm.
now it's just like I don't know any of my cousins that faithfully go to church.
Why?
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 I've never asked them. It's
So
just
like it was the same thing being raised. Once again, we can talk about the different denominations too.
okay.
I was raised in two different congregation churches. My grandma, but that's in my maternal grandparents. Okay, shout out to Kendrick Lamar with that line. Ain't nobody praying for me. Both my grandmas dead.
Mm,
Oh, felt that to a whole different level. But the thing is, my grandfather, he was Baptist, and my grandmother was Kojic. Okay, Church of God in Christ. Once
okay.
again, these churches got different behaviors and
Well, tell me
traditions
the
and
difference
ways.
in that because I've
I
never
don't
had.
know, but let me tell you, Church of God. I didn't even know this until like a few years ago. While I was doing the makings of use for my aunties,
Yeah.
and I used to remember as a little boy, my grandparents used to get in arguments. Okay, and it made sense because they technically went to two different churches. Okay, but they
Mhm.
would go to church sometime twice on a Sunday. I see people still do that to this day. So
My
that
grandparents.
is not done.
Yeah.
Okay, so my grandmother, the Church of God in Christ, they are like you talking about when you opened earlier and you were speaking about, you go to school, you go to baby practice, and you go this and that. No, my my grandmother, you go to church almost every day of the week. I remember as a little boy, I would be in church Monday, definitely Wednesday, Bible study, Thursday, hang with her friends. Like my grandmother was a missionary.
Yeah.
Okay. My grandmother, even though she was a nurse, she did other things on the side. She was so like every day was church praying, even though she had her ways and she did that old folks cussing. She didn't use like the hard church, like she didn't say like the F word,
Yeah.
but she would call you a low down trifling snake in the grass dog, heifer, all these different type of things, them different type of curses, that you don't see on television, like that them that age you.
Yeah.
But when I say if we was in church, we were gonna be in church, that's what we're gonna be.
Mm.
And like I never forget, it was one day I felt like I was in church forever, and at time you look at time different. But I remember my grandfather said them kids have to be at school in the morning. It's
Yeah.
still let them you bring them kids back home. I'm gonna get. I'll never forget that. And this wasn't cell phone. This was like over
Yeah.
house phone. It was like he called up to the church or something. Oh, he showed up in his pickup truck like, nah, like you doing too much.
Yeah.
And she wasn't here because in her God and their relationship, they have like her commitment was what she was going to put into the church and how she was going to protect the family. And
Mm.
remind y'all, my grandparents were born in 1918. Okay.
Mm.
So it was a different time where they really relied on the church. And I was born in 86. So this in the early 90s when I'm really getting my feel in the church.
Mm.
She did handkerchiefs, she sung the tambourine, the amount of church fans growing up and sing. Like, no, I don't see that type of feeling. And being in church without the AC in Texas sometimes. Oh my
Hey, take me to the king.
my grandmother had a plethora of hats.
My mom used to make church hats for all the church ladies.
I'm
My
talking
grandma
about
was
a
in the choir.
plethora.
my godmom was in the choir, and every time my mom would send me to go visit my godmom, where was I? Monday at church, Tuesday at church,
Hey,
Wednesday at church.
all her best friends from the church, and all of them is Sister Ford, Sister Geraldine, Sister Mayfield. All those families are my family still tight with them people to this day. Someone we still think we related. No, we church family,
Yeah,
that was community.
yeah.
My grandfather, he, was involved in church and all that. Now he did the cussing and all that here and there, but we knew that if something happened, it was, we can go to the church. When we felt ill, to the church. When somebody else got sick, we getting together, we putting out, like, the type of community that I learned from my grandparents in the church. It was amazing. When I became the age in high school after my grandparents passed, I became heavily involved in church. Well, I was, I had a lot of turmoil because of losing my grandparents, losing my mother, losing my best friends and things. Um, I had some doubt, but it was always, I'm going to church. And I've seen, like, pastors go up and that impact. Once again, we're talking about the Black church. The impact that it had on my community was amazing. You know, a lot of people don't recognize that. We had a lot of bad actors in the congregation. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But the pastor at my church, New Life, right across from John Tyler High School, um, on the Loop, I believe it's the Loop, like one of the most amazing people in human beings that I knew in my life, And he was one of those pastors that, like, he preached the word of God. If something happened, he would show up, you know. He wasn't a stranger. He was a busy man, but if something happened, he would come. So I understand people have different experiences in church. Trust me, and I know a lot of church drama. Okay.
Mhm.
But
Don't we all?
having but once again, when you think about church, but it's drama, period.
Yeah.
And you got to pay attention. What do you want to emphasize, and how do you redirect it? And are we going to have grace for people? Are we going to shame them? It's so much to go into it. But when I say the impact that the Black church had on my life, like, just personally, like, one of the thing I can speak through my living experience has been amazing, even through my adulthood. But
Mhm.
even before I was born, if we talk about the history of the Black church, I was talking to Baylor earlier. Shout out to Baylor, BTG for president. Pod fam.
Yeah.
The church, or the Black church specifically, is kind of like your parents.
Right.
All right. Can we talk about this real quick?
Yes.
You get to a point in your life, you need your parents to survive, correct?
Hmm.
But it gets to the point you get a little bit more independent. Some folks did not have the best relationship with their parents. All right.
Mhm.
Some people had great relationship with their parents because the parents treated them well, great, and they know that, and they still can rely on their parents for everything.
Mhm.
But some people feel like, I've made it. I don't need my parents anymore. I'm good. You
Mhm.
didn't treat me well no matter what, or you treat me well, but I'm okay. I'm on my own. I'm gonna see what it's like on this world by myself. Then you have some that, hey, I recognize what you've done for me. I wouldn't be here in life without you, so I'm gonna stick beside you.
Mhm.
So when something happened, I'll make sure to check in. When I'm going on vacation, I want you to come. Hey, I got kids now. You need to be involved in my kids' life,
Yeah.
because I know the impact you had on me. I want you to share with them. Yeah, and things are gonna be things will continue to change.
Yeah.
But the thing is, one constant, it should be us gathering together, supporting one another. And once
Right.
again, we talked about, once again, Jesus didn't ask for this building. If we want to come together, hold hands and pray, that is the church. That's at the beginning of it. But if we're
Mhm.
talking about the enlarge and want to grow and gather, just like when we talk about even some social media support groups, you have to understand it's going to get difficult, and you're going to have a little bit more messiness, and little things going to not be the best at times.
Mhm.
But the main thing, we would not be where we're at if we didn't gather together.
Right.
No matter how you look at it, we were, especially Black people being an American descendant of slavery, we would not be in a position nowhere near. and it's historically proven without the Black church. We could talk about that as far as civil rights. We can talk about media, entertainment.
Mhm.
Majority of your entertainers in being Black come from the Black church.
Right. The
A
best singer
lot of
in the
I'm
back church.
sing, singing and
The
rap.
comedian. Yeah.
We talk about the history of gospel, Negro spirituals, the gospel to soul, jazz, soul,
The
R&B.
way the way DMX would pray.
Once again, it's in it. No matter how much you
Yeah.
run away from it. You
Yeah.
know, beans, greens, tomato. That is from the Black church.
Mhm.
Like, and it's a slap in the face. I made a video on TikTok about this years ago.
Mhm.
It's a slap in the face how people are so dismissive of the Black church and don't and be using stuff to it comes straight from the Black church.
I mean, even Kanye, period. Everything is churchy. Everything
Because
is
he
great.
know because see, and the only thing, see, I told you I ain't talking about Kanye no more. But Kanye is an example.
Yeah.
Kanye knows the power of Jesus Christ. He knows the
Yeah.
power. He knows the power of the church.
Yeah.
You feel me? That's the thing about it. Your grandparents knew the power of Jesus Christ and the Black church, what he put together. They know these things.
Mhm.
But a lot of it don't. It's some people that don't know the power, don't trust the power, don't understand it, and then you got the ones that understand it and knows it and want to use it
You
to
have
for their
those
own
who
personal benefit.
manipulate that
Correct.
power.
And it's like that's why you got to take your own well-being. Say everybody that's listening to our voices right now or seeing our faces,
Yeah.
find you a church home. That's some of the best advice that I received in life, and I continue to share. Is wherever you go, you find you a church home. Okay, doesn't mean you got to stay there forever,
Yeah.
but where you go, you got to find you somewhere that you can feel comfortable going to church, where you volunteering, you paying your tithes, you are building relationships with other people.
Mhm.
Okay, my uncle, shout out my uncle Burrow. Okay, I always tell him like he was. If you think of if Samuel Jackson was a gay man, that was my uncle. Okay, a choir director, teacher, but no, and never missed a bootlegger. Okay,
Mm.
but he never missed a day in church. All the quote unquote demons that he was holding, um, and fighting,
Mhm.
he still went to church. A lot of people dismiss him, but you cannot deny he had a relationship with the Lord.
Yeah.
And the type of differences, because people still approach me, knew what my uncle did in their life. He pulled people from off the street that were struggling with addiction, sexual immorality, all these things, and he still guided them to God by his music. He played bad on that piano,
Mm.
because see all these things. But one thing people are so dismissive, but the Black church is us.
Mhm.
It's like you can run away from home. Home still gonna be there.
Yeah.
It's you that is trying to move away from something that could be better for all of us. And I understand some homes are not the best for you. Some homes will hurt you.
Right.
Coming from a caseworker, okay? But
Yeah.
it's homes out there for you. And that's the main thing. Having that stability, having that family, it's an amazing feeling.
Yeah. I always would say that my mom always felt like church.
Mm,
If I could find a church, a physical place that felt like the peace that I get from knowing my mom's around
mm,
or having access to my mother, even though she's imperfect, even though she doesn't have all the answers, even though she can't do a lot, it's just a overwhelming place of peace to be my full self that I feel. And it's sometimes you go into a church and you sit there and you try to feel the energy and you see the people and you hear um the talk, you hear the music, you feel the music, and then You go back a second time, you go back a third time, and it's just not hitting after a while. And
Absolutely understand.
you have to ask yourself, okay, what has changed? Um, what you're trying to get out of this? Is that consistent? Are you giving it enough time? Are you talking to people there? And personally, as an adult, I haven't found like a church where I feel good here. I'm going to keep
Yeah.
coming. But I will say I've tried. But growing up for me, my mom and my dad never went to the same church. Like I said earlier, my dad, I think he went to a Catholic or a Methodist church, and my mom went to a Pentecostal church with her parents in Philadelphia. And then um, when I was 8, it's like out the blue, when she was living on her own, she became a Jehovah Witness, which was like
Mm,
a real
interesting.
shock after spending like 8 years of celebrating Christmas and birthdays and but she was never a strict Jehovah Witness. It was like I personally look, I personally won't be putting up a tree and giving gifts, but if someone gifts me something, I'll take it. Or
Ooh, oh no, don't I ain't gonna lie, don't no type of Jehovah Witness I can't stand.
I'm not going to get dressed and go trick or treating, but if you and your brother want to go trick or treating, y'all could go, but I'm not coming. Um, so I feel like my mom's search and research for religion and answers and comfort has been her personal journey. When I got to like 14, it just got to a point where I was like, Mom, I'm not coming with you to meeting. That's what they call it.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
They don't call it Bible study, they call it meeting. I said, I'm not coming. I don't feel connected to this. If it gives me very much cultish vibes. But if you would like to go, that's fine. And she's like, okay. Like it was no pushback. It was no, you're a child, you're coming. It was like, okay. And it has been that since I was 14. And she doesn't talk about it anymore. She doesn't actively go anymore. Um,
Is she still a Jehovah Witness?
I don't know.
Mm.
It's very like non-existent. It's just like, last year she was here and I celebrate Christmas with the girls and I gave her a Christmas present. She took it.
Yeah.
um, she woke up early and sat with the girls while they opened up gifts. It's just like this conversation we don't have. Um, and my mom's 70 and I feel like she's still searching, for
Mm.
what brings her peace. And that's just me not bringing it up or me not, bringing up the fact that, well, why do you do this? If you say you this, it's just like, girl, do whatever makes you feel great, But I've been in relationships with men who go to church every Sunday. Um, I've been in relationships with men who pray before every meal. Will sit on the phone and pray with me. Um, and I've been in relationships with men who don't. I think it's great to have like um, a foundation, a structure of faith to set the standards and have the values in your life. But if you don't physically go to church and you don't pray, off tops, am I like, ooh, no? But it does say something about your character. It does say something about where you're going, in my opinion. It does say something about what grounds you as a human being. Well, how do you have a measure of how you treat other people? That does make me question that. So I will say, like, personally, I don't claim a religion. Um, I feel like all religions need to be researched individually.
And they
Um,
have been.
by people. No, but I'm just
Oh,
saying,
you
like,
talking about individuals going out and figuring
yes,
out what's
I
good for
think
them?
some people are just stuck on, well, let me just pick a church and get in it and be able to say I go to church, but not have the full understanding and the individual connection to what are you actually worshiping, what are you actually gaining from this, and what does this all mean. A lot of
Sure.
people can't sit and say in 2023 I've read the Bible front to back.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But we'll bring it up in every discussion. A lot of people can't say, these are the values and this is what my religious group has done in history. A lot of people will say, well, your religion's wrong, but don't know anything about another person's religion to dictate what are the points on why you think my religion is wrong. And I think just self-study is very important and understanding. That's why I'm a big supporter of watching different documentaries, understanding symbolism, and how that shows up in your children's school, your children's
And so
toy.
you talking about symbolism. If you didn't realize another reason why we go into everything culture, you are slipping. But that's another point.
Yeah,
Um,
so it's in everything, and once you gain a foundation of it, everything will start to connect from you, and you'll be able to say no to things faster than you'll say yes.
see,
And
and I'll slip something for you. As
uh,
much as you can read in a documentary you watch, it'll put it this way: it's like you watching workout videos.
hmm,
But if you ain't in it yourself, you ain't gonna really understand it or really gain a benefit from it.
mhm, yeah,
So, like, and I don't know if you just I got, and I was talking earlier, today I haven't been in the best of spirits or things of that nature. And just a few moments ago, while we was talking, I was like, man, one of the biggest things that I do, and I do with all my friends, I was like, man, I would love you to come to church with me sometime, And that's the thing I said, I haven't found me a church home yet. And I said, maybe that's why I'm feeling the way I'm feeling.
mm,
Because when I don't have that connection, it has a real impact on me.
yeah,
And have to, praying over at home, the crazy, it's a blessing to be where I'm at, but it's still like, once again, having just a church home and place to go to really makes a difference in my life.
mhm,
And I speak about it, but I live by my actions. I live by my behavior. I
mm,
live that, hey, like that's the best way. I ain't gotta put you in a headlock and force you or shame you, anything in that nature. I just
mhm,
gotta continue to in my walk. And if you see how I'm walking, how I'm living, and um my obstacles as well as the challenges and the wins and the accomplishments show you like, hey, and I also I can't do without my God.
right,
And without my God tell me I can't do without the church and each other. That's the big thing. We'll make so much more progress together, and that's what he wants us to do. And it's once again, it's something that's so simplistic. Even talking about everything culture, everything I'm talking about is for us to come together. This is, it's not a, let's say, a Christian podcast, but it's a Christian based podcast.
right,
Like
right,
when I talk about for us to love one another, the love I'm talking about is the love of Jesus Christ.
yeah,
And that second, like, because everything we do is sacrifice and having empathy for one another so we can support. But I understand that, like, people have the different perspectives. Like, before I left my hometown, I'm telling you, I never forget leaving the front porch. My uncle was like, once again, I said earlier, find you a church home. So I remember when we got to Houston, find me a church home. Oh my God, I can't even think. Was it also New Life? It was right near the Church's Chicken. So perfect for me. Um, but something that I took a world religion class.
mm,
Okay. And while taking the world religion class, two things that stood out to me. At very first day, the professor was like, if you're a Christian in here, they asked everybody to raise their hand what they identifies in the course. I'm gonna represent my clique,
yeah,
my set. It was me. I was the only black male in the class, and it was the only other one black person. It was a black woman in the class. and it was maybe like 60 people in there. And I always sit in the front of the class. I'm that type of dude. But she made sure to make it a point, and it was only maybe 5 to 6 Christians in there out of a class around 60 people. All right. And she was like, well, you Christians, she like trying to like admonish us, talking about y'all don't speak when somebody else speaking about this, and that, blah, 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 blah. And it's kind of unique because I understand the history of Christianity here in America, especially in America, with manifest destiny, when people use it for evil. But I'm like, I'm a Black Christian. What? I'm like, my experience a little different because understanding the way we shifted. And once again, and Christianity was, in Africa before. We could talk about Mansa Musa. We could talk about all the history because it's been here and how it's been moved and stolen and case in
Manipulated.
point, manipulated once again.
Yeah.
But through that course, the second thing that stood out the most to me, already first, I feel like, I was the minority, and I feel like I would be looking to be challenged. And that's how a lot of other people may feel about that too, and when outside in the day-to-day world. But two was the type of experiences I've had in the different when I visited different cultures. I've been to a mosque, I've been to a synagogue, I've been to a temple, I've been to what was it, a Buddhist, it wasn't a temple, it was just a different type of Buddhist celebration or event of praise. I've taken my shoes off. I've said that, and I still went to church every Sunday, and I still knew my foundation of my Lord. And I still like in God in my heart, and like, and what my relationship with the Holy Ghost did not steer me away from it. It may strike fear in others, but not with me. But when I tell you the relationships I built with people and they respect me, and some of them, hey, you mind if I come to church with you? Absolutely. We learn experience and we build that connection with one another. And I'm building them, bringing them like to my God. But one thing I'm not going to do, I would stand on my 2 feet and defend, but I'm not going to harm someone because of me trying to attack someone because of my God. That is not what Jesus did. Like, well, it's really, we must check each other. That's a big thing. We check one another because I've seen people under my faith harm people under my faith more than people outside my faith harm people. Understand? If am I making sense?
Yeah.
So I want to be mindful of that when we stepping out, especially being Black Christians. We got to come to that mindset of continue to support each other. Stop all this cliques. Like some people treat being Christian like being a gang.
Yep.
Some of them just want to have unity and have belonging. They want to tie themselves to people rather than tie themselves to God. So because people go fail you every time. That's the big thing about it. So even when the outsiders look,
Why they don't like a church or they don't do religion
bingo,
on what
bingo,
someone perfect did.
bingo. Because you pay, you're going to the building, but you're not coming to the community or the body.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. You're coming once again that expectation to have people to be better. Like I joke all the time that I don't like the kids choir, and I don't. But in all seriousness, I love those babies coming up there and giving their best. I really do. I ain't got to be there for it, but I love it. I love even the cranky old lady that's a usher. You know, I love us. Sometimes I'm big on like I don't like the faking in front of the Holy Ghost. I don't play with the Holy Ghost because I've seen legit breakdowns. I've had them. And I like, if I don't want to come in there judging folks, but some of their people are there to be seen. Like I was even thinking about my grandmother, but that is a time when people they gonna have to step out for their best.
Yeah.
That is it's historical context to that. A lot of them come from slavery. A lot of the Sundays, they'll tell you we have to. The only time we were able to wear our best things. A lot of us were not going to banquets and balls and things. So Sunday was, I think, where we came together and show out. But we have to understand why we're there. I've never been a fan of the assigned seating in church either. And I've seen, so once again, we talk about the
The
tons. I've seen
hierarchy.
I've seen some breakdown brawls in the church. Y'all seen hierarchy. I've seen some people slipping. I've seen like some whew, like I would talk about my previous pastor. I seen a woman try to sneak in and hide to sleep with the pastor. And but that was a good man, and he called security. Like he had to call the police get this woman away from him. The temptation, wherever you get a temptation in the regular world, will be there in the church too, baby. You
Yeah.
know. But I've seen some beautiful things though. I've seen some christenings. I've seen baptism. I've seen weddings. I've seen deaths in the church.
Mhm.
I know some people like crazy, but I've seen a woman died maybe 4 rows in front of me. Can't think of her name right now. And when the people in church was like they're like, oh my God, she passed. It wasn't people freaking out screaming. It was like we prayed.
Mhm.
We contacted the family. It was just like that's what she knew. She was in the place of the Lord where she loved these people. It wasn't another tragedy. It wasn't. It was, you know, I, people look at it. Oh my God, this and that. And it's like, oh my God, look, we like called that woman home. No telling what she was going through. She was like in her 80s and 90s.
Mhm.
You know, it's one in the past in the way it was handled, but once again, church is almost like finding that church community is like dating. When I was in Houston, even when I was in Seattle, the churches I went to before I found me a church home. Ooh, ooh, looking for a church is interesting. I went to
Dating, something
some
I know nothing about.
man. That what you hey, that's all. That's what I was thinking. When you were talking, I was thinking about. I said, man, I would love to invite all y'all. If y'all came to Houston, and that's what we still do. When
Yeah.
people come to visit, hey, we're going to church this Sunday now. Y'all want to
Mhm.
come with us? We give you the option. Oh, I didn't bring no clothes. This and that. You ain't got to have anything fancy on. Just come on.
Yeah.
You'd be surprised the impact it can make. But I'm telling you that they like going to church. Like I remember going to a church, and I went with it was me and my no, it was me and my wife. We were just dating, and this one pastor, it was it was near my college, and I went to. We went before, and they were cool. But I went with my wife, and it was the underhoused man there, homeless man. He
Mhm.
came in, and he was a little bit in the back, and he got up being a guest, and he I don't stand up at everybody church. You ain't about to call me out, but and he said why he came. He said he prayed, and he said finally get him a church, and he came here, and he enjoyed himself. But he said he's gonna keep praying and he's thinking make it his church home. And when the pastor said, "You ain't gotta pray, you already here. Go ahead and sign up. You here." When he said you don't have to pray, I was like, "No, this is not my church home."
Mm.
It's just that quick. Oh, and he was telling the kids to shut up. He was saying put them kids outside. Them babies hollering too much. I was like, yeah. I was at church the day that Kobe Bryant died. Well, when it was announced.
Yeah.
And when the pastor found out, he was like, Pastor, he said, "Why y'all care about Kobe? Kobe don't care about y'all." Oh, I don't.
Everybody.
I'm not even a Kobe Bryant fan at all. But to say that about somebody that just passed away,
Yeah.
instead of saying we're gonna pray for him and his family, that's that simple.
Yeah.
That wasn't my church home.
Mm.
Got to pay attention who's leading.
Yeah.
I've been in some churches where kind of find out the pastor was um he enjoyed the rock form of Boogie Sugar.
What?
Now, the thing is, was it past tense or is it current?
How
Because I've
much was
been,
he sweating?
huh?
How much was he sweating per sermon?
Hey, I think I got part Baptist preaching me. 'Cause I sweat all the time too. But when I tell you, it takes everyone. I had a God rest his soul. I had a friend, a previous coworker, that he wa- he was made for Twitter. Okay, he had like 8 kids. They paid child support on none of them. He was one of the most. I remember he was older than me. He was like, imagine me being 37 going to a college party.
No.
and on top of that being filthy. Like
Hmm.
who eating who trying to get to eat? Like, hey, brother, what are we get? What are you doing?
What?
But hey, but one of the best people you can ever hear pastor, ever hear preach.
Let me tell you something. The best
They,
pastors have gone through some things, but they are not doing those things.
hey, let me tell you what's old boy Greg favorite person, favorite author, pastor, eat so and so too.
Oh, yeah, 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 yeah.
You know, we know what it is. You know,
I read
they're
that.
human beings.
I read that
But
book.
you got to know who you. It's just like your friends.
Yeah.
You know, content of their character, behavior, and heart. How can it resist? Because it's more responsibility is placed on them too. So
Mm.
it's like people want me to be it. I'm like, not yet. Not yet. When God tell me, cool, but y'all don't run it. I don't want to jump into something and y'all be disappointed because somebody tried me and I had to pastor put somebody in a chokehold. We don't want that. We don't want that. But
When are you going to start church dating?
this Sunday. Like right here, I said I was doing it, but I was like, man, thinking of other things. But us doing this, having this conversation right here, and me feeling, and I don't know if y'all watching this on YouTube, you can see like I've shed a few tears here, and I've said on everything culture and the people who know me personally, like I believe when I just truly cry and sometimes out the blue, it's like God is speaking to me. And it's like clearly like, yeah, you gotta find you a church home. Like the hunt starts, you know. So I'm not gonna procrastinate when he's speaking to me. You know, there's some time when I make the worst decisions in life when I don't move when he asks me to move.
Yeah.
So and that comes from once again, continue build man, once again, when I tell people when you're looking for a church and a black church and we talk about the
Mhm.
de-evolution of who? The church or the de-evolution of you?
Right.
Cause think about it. A lot of people who are involved in a community, like not in a church, or what are you involved in?
Hmm.
You know, what are you giving back to your community?
What are you doing outside of self? You know,
Yes,
are you doing
absolutely.
it just because you gain from it, or are you doing it because it feels good for someone else? Okay, perfect example. Today, I took the girls to a bakery to go get a slice of cake. I told them to pick up
Delicious.
cake, and this bakery makes great cake. And but it's never like it's in Atlanta. It's not near my house.
Shout out to Keith Lee.
So boy, he kicking a ruckus this week, but it was needed. Like some
God
fire.
is amazing. Okay.
Yes, he is. Um, we went in there. They picked their cakes. This other guy was picking like cupcakes, and I put our cakes on the counter. And then the lady asked him, "So you're getting a dozen cupcakes?" He was like, "Yeah, I'm getting these a dozen cupcakes, and I'm buying those two slices."
Oh.
And I'm just like, Ari was like, Ari said, "Is this a prank?" And he said no. He was like, I believe in
Paying it forward.
blessings. And he was like, and I want to bless you guys today, so I'm gonna buy your cakes. So I told him thank you and I appreciate it. And Anya said thank you. And we got our forks and we left. And Anya was like, well, isn't that nice? You didn't have to buy the cake. I said yes, but at the same time, that's the second time that happened to me. That's the second time I've gone in that bakery and some random man is buying something for someone else and sees me in there and buys what I'm buying also.
So what goes through your mind when that happens?
Um,
So I know how Shane be thinking. You might get a little paranoid that somebody watching me.
no, but I okay, I'll say this. I might not go to church every Sunday, but I pray daily out loud. One, so I make sure that that relationship is vivid. Two, to make my children feel like it's completely okay to pray and to believe in something higher than yourself. But I feel when that happens to me, I always feel like um the creator knows I'm doing my best, and at the same time I'm trying to give my children this comfort of feeling like we can still do little things that bring us joy and still continue and not have to worry about, well, what's going to happen tomorrow, how we going to do next week, or how we going to do 2 weeks from now, and things like that always affirm that I need to stop worrying about things that don't matter. um and so it's like physically you may not have someone physically to help you all the time to do things that you need, but it's the little things that you have to remember you're getting, like this help, like I'm with you as you do the things on a daily. So it was nice. And I don't know, I feel like um I don't worry about things, and when new opportunities come up for me, I know why they're coming up. And it's that you could pray about things that you may want and things being better, but if you're physically not doing your best to help those things become better, I think that's an empty, it's like having empty faith. You have to work, and when you're working and that's transparent, is rewarded by great opportunities and kindness. And I believe that, and I don't care what religion you are, it should be apparent. It should be apparent in your life. And I think a lot of people don't see those things and they don't have gratitude for those things. But stuff like that I notice. Yeah.
So yeah. I always say, if you ever find a chance, hey, have y'all went to church? Just take your kids like next time. 'Cause I don't know what the man was, anything was anything of that nature. You know, ask the people like from it that owns that bakery, like, what's your local church that y'all? Is it, just anything about that?
Yeah.
And they may share, they may not, or they may not have anything.
Mhm.
But just even it's been a woman. Um, I can't call her Miss Pat because I already had a Miss Pat in my life, but I can call her Sister Pat. Okay. Older woman. Um, it was so unique. Like she works for DoorDash, okay, and or Uber Eats, one of the two.
Yeah.
And my wife ordered some coffee, and the person who's supposed to deliver her coffee dropped it off at the wrong doorstep. And because we don't have a mat, that's what, like, we don't have a mat on our doorstep or nothing like that. But fast forward like a few, like 10, 15 minutes later, a woman came by. We were putting like furniture on the side of the street for people to pick up. And she came like, "Do you mind if I take these chairs? Oh my goodness, they're blue. Blah, blah, blah. I only have a space for like four of them. I can come back get the other two." I'm like, "Yeah, no problem." And my wife comes to the door and she's like, "Are you so and so? You put are you DoorDash?" She's like, "Yeah." "You put my coffee in the wrong doorstep." And she's like, "Okay, no problem. I can go get it for you real quick." And she walked right up the street, got it, brought it back, got the chairs. She came back like, we only been here 2 weeks. She came back the next week and we exchanged information. Well, we didn't. She came back and she remembered us telling her we work from home. She didn't want to disturb us, so she left a note in the door, and we
Mhm.
got to know, and I texted her and she came back with her husband. But we had the chairs, we had a couple rugs, a couple coffee tables, and like we had really nice stuff. It's just, if it don't go with the feng shui, we get something new.
Yeah.
And she was just so happy and so like this is a blessing. And she shared her testimony. Her husband, once again, it loved me when the women come and want to get some new stuff, and the husbands, they be older gentlemen. I was like, "I got you. You can't carry this. Go ahead." And I still got a little bit of youth in me. I take care of it.
Mhm.
But the worst thing, I said, "What church do y'all belong to?" And it's been a small family church. this, and that. She said, and the husband, you might want to go. It's like 7:30 service. I love 7:30 service. Like, let me get my Lord in and go home. Cause once again, I'm not here for all the show. I'm here to shake
Yeah.
hands, brother. How you doing? Let's keep in touch, blah, blah, blah. Like we can move.
Yeah.
But I believe when we get in them 10 o'clocks and people, once
Lingering
again,
and talking, and it's 30 minutes past.
it
I'm just,
become a social hour,
yeah.
because that's why I believe a lot of people who don't go to clubs or want to go to the club, they go to church. Because
Mhm.
like it's a song by Lupe Fiasco. I may have to blend this in for when we do
Which one?
the marketing. I'm gonna send it to you. It's hard to find, but it's called, gosh, I cannot think of the name of it. But it's
Mhm.
like he talk about Saturday night, something something, and alcohol, and he goes in. But all through the song is him. It is Lupe Fiasco. Okay, I want to say it's not Janae and Aiko, but it's a woman and there's
Mhm.
another guy. And at the end of the close to the end of the song, the last verse, appreciate you, man. The last verse, they shifted and they start turning it to gospel music and talking
Mhm.
about they getting ready for Sunday morning. And basically, it's the same thing, and it's going through history. It's like you getting up, you going there, and now you praising, but you still, because no matter how much party you doing the night before what you done, you still gotta praise the Lord. And it's the same. Once again, it's like the reverse. Because once again, know where you come from.
Mhm.
That's the thing. If your my grandparents, my grandfather, grandmother, my aunts, like once again, I seen the dementia in my everything you're saying about your family, my cousins too.
Mhm.
A lot of my cousins was like, man, they don't want to go to church, they don't want to do this, do that. And I don't want to be like this, but I was like, sometimes y'all be struggling.
Mhm.
Maybe you should go in. You don't know what the type of blessing you don't know you go find you a new job there. Someone go help you with you may find you a new boo.
Mhm.
Don't go looking for it. Go for Jesus. Go for the connect. But you be surprised if you just allow that work to happen in your life, what it can make for you. But that's me.
What is
But
my
once again, we cannot forget about the impact it's had.
yeah,
But with us as Black people, we've made a lot of progress here in America.
yeah.
Well, let me clarify. Let me clarify that. Sorry. Can we do a reverse sound
Clean
for
it
that?
up.
It's we've made progress here,
Yes.
but I think the thought that we've made more progress than we had, that we don't need their support any longer, is where we're at.
Yeah.
So that's why I believe with the Black church. I've said it a lot that even moving up north, living in the Pacific Northwest, that connection that we have as Black people, a lot of people feel like we don't need it any longer, which I disagree. I think we need it even more.
Mhm.
It's like I think a lot of us, I think we fought so hard and we got to it's like if this is the line of being, how do I say, equity for us being treated fairly and being treated as real people here, this is a line. I think we've gotten this far.
Mm.
This far. Okay. It feels like we here, but we're really right here.
Right.
But the Black church has gotten us here. Like you can argue all you want to, but the facts are the facts, and the history of what things been placed with laws, legislations, connections throughout.
And if we ignore what challenges happened here, we're going to move back here.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly. Because even like, because June, hey, people celebrate, like when I was talking about Juneteenth, people celebrating Juneteenth and don't want to bring up the Black church. You can't do it.
yeah.
You can't do it. Like I legit got in arguments with people, and I'm like, they never celebrated Juneteenth in their life, and telling somebody they've been celebrating Juneteenth all their life, well, it starts in the church.
Mhm.
Well, everybody, it starts in the church. It wouldn't be here without the church.
Mhm.
That's where they went to celebrate because there was nowhere else to go.
Right.
That's who kept the tradition going. The Black church. Well, we've grown. No, we haven't, because you forgot where you come from. You can't talk about the tradition without bringing it up.
Mhm.
Watch night. Okay, if the people who's watching this, if you're not familiar with watch night is, That's when instead of you going out on New Year's Eve, going partying, clubbing, seeing that ball drop, you're at church. Oh,
I've done that once.
loser. That's what time I used to feel about my farthest thing from it. Have a good time. Watch night is where that when do black people when I was once again when I was like in middle school and high school and other black people used to other black people in Texas used to be dismissive of me because we celebrate Juneteenth. Ugh, why do you celebrate being a free and slavery being 2 years late? Blah 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 blah. That's why I'm so harsh with people on Juneteenth because I was bullied about it because for celebrating it from black people, and now you want us to celebrate Juneteenth all of a sudden?
Yeah.
Okay, welcome, but respect it. Wipe your feet off at the door. Come on in.
I think it's only because there's a direct link to now
But it's but it's
buying.
always been, and we've been trying to put people. But my main thing is to ask people. I didn't know. Shout out to my boy Brandon Jakes with Oh my gosh, I'm thinking you. I'm gonna tag you in this, but watch night. Cause when do we celebrate the Emancipation Proclamation? We know we celebrate Juneteenth. I've always have. So when
Mm.
people say they don't celebrate Juneteenth because it came later on, when do you celebrate the Emancipation Proclamation then?
A lot of people don't.
A lot of people don't. When did it even go into effect? Let's talk about history.
Mm.
And you think it's not a celebration. The Emancipation Proclamation went into effect January 1st. Okay. Was it 1863 or 1865? Okay. You know where black people went? The
Cheers.
church. So, because they knew on New Year's Day, the dangers, the day before, a lot of people, a lot of white folks and slave owners were not going to be happy. So, guess what we did? We congregated together in the church and we watched over each other throughout the night. Watch
Mm.
night service.
Come on,
Uh,
education.
well, just hey, but it takes us once again, it takes us coming together and having these conversations. Just not when we see things and stuff in danger, we become so isolated. That's how they get us. That everybody we can have 10 families, but it's one family that wanted something happen and they my kids were breaking in the windows and they whoop my kids without my permission or something like that nature. Okay. Well, you need to correct your kids or the community will correct your kid. That's part of it. Well,
Mm.
I'm just gonna be by myself in this corner. So where the 9 families that when something happened, we can see each other, protect one another. That one, when them dangers and them people don't want you because of what you look like and what you believe in, what you have, they come for you. You can't have the protection, and
Right.
that's the scary thing about it. But that's why we have to put a lot of our differences aside.
Mm.
But I'm gonna pull back. I'm gonna pull back. Y'all got
Mm.
to listen to the rest of the series to get more of this.
But what you said is a lot, and it's a lot of truth to that, and why the behaviors of our children today are what they are, because that lack of stability and structure of this is what we do in this home. This is how we protect each other in this home. On this street, I know all the parents and the kids on this street. I know the elderly lady at the end of the block that may need this. I know all our power is out. Let's go check on X, Y, and Z. Like a lot of people don't have it, don't know it, don't feel this innate need to do these things. Um, and I think that's very important if we're looking for our children who are younger to grow up and do it for the elderly that they're going to be around.
Say that.
So,
Say that. And side note, this is a complete side note.
yeah.
This might be the stop putting these pastors on these respectability pillars. Because if we didn't have that, respect them for being a pastor, okay? But don't put the pastor to be higher than God, okay? They're not your God. That's a human being. And I say all this to say that for numerous reasons it can apply, but I'm saying it specifically. I don't think these pastor kids would be so bad if the adults wouldn't be kissing the pastor's butt.
Mm.
I never played with them PKs because I as an adult I'll be peeping back and sitting back and watching grown folks try to win approval from the pastor by being favoring the kids, favoring the pastor kids. And once again, I've been around a lot of churches. I just thought, and if it's not true, it's not true. If it don't hit you, it don't hit you. But I remember being at church and I seen grown men, like the pastor kids say, "I'm gonna bet this amount of money if I hit the shot." Grown men, yeah, let me bet you. And I have to once again, old me, young, like me before, I wouldn't have said anything because I
Mhm.
didn't feel like I was part of the church. I was judging the church, but me being part of the church, I had to step in like, "Hey, what we doing?" I
In the
know.
church.
I know y'all ain't in the church about the bet. I know that ain't happening. Oh, you right, brother Drake. You right, my bad. And I'm looking at these grown men, and I looked in the pastor's son, look right at him, and he was like, he got because I'm like, see, and that's the thing, you got all these other grown men fool. And he know it's respect, I love you, but I don't play that playboy.
Mhm.
Come on now. And I like influence is influence.
Mm. Uh,
Influence. But it's some of them guys, they want that approval from somebody. Oh, don't get me started. That's why Kanye getting the way he getting, because he know the influence he have and know how a lot of people are like want that approval, especially that's what makes me sick. But I digress.
um, you did say like, the people that come to the church are still imperfect people. You did talk
Hmm.
about that. Outside of the church, things are still the same, and some people try to bring what's outside of the church in the church.
Come
Um,
as you are, but
yeah,
change when you're there. That's the thing. You come as you are,
yeah,
but you change while you're there. You can come to somewhere naked, but when the church love on you and give you resources, you can come to church hungry. But when the church love you and give you resources, you can come to church ignorant. But when the church love on you and give you resources, you should know how to clothe yourself, feed yourself,
yeah,
as well as educate yourself as well. So those things you got to look at.
yeah. Um, I think a lot of people today may use the church and God's word for wickedness to manipulate it, and those
Ain't
who are,
nothing new. It's
yeah,
in the Bible. It's in the Bible. It's in the book.
but it's only a tool for those who use it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think there's too many people wanting someone to tell them what to do and how to be when you can also do the work yourself.
Hmm.
It's
Get it
like
easy.
it's like having hands and food in front of you and waiting for somebody to come around and feed you by spoon what's in front of you. It doesn't make any sense. You're gonna have to want to and do the work yourself. Um, I think community and church and empathy and compassion and understanding has to be in a congregation for a congregation to be successful. I think this whole um, idea that judgment determines your character, and there's like this limit and this ceiling of change that may happen, or the possibility of change to happen, or giving grace is not granted unless you are this. That shouldn't be when it comes to a place of church, a place of God, a place of worship, a place of grace and love and compassion. And I think um, accepting people as they are is the basis of why church was created. To have community, to show people that there's a better way, there's a possibility, there's the resource. And we have a lot of younger people who are looking into spiritual practices. We still have a lot of people studying to be in church, know the ministry of the church, the history of the church. But there's a lot of people who don't have the family factor of people supporting them and what they're learning or what they're searching for. And sometimes your search for faith and the church and the community is a lonely one, and not a lot of people push through to do it themselves. So when it comes to the Black impact with this, I think for Black people, the church was a place where they could feel safe, even though the way that they're living is very stifling. A place where they can come together, feel, understand, cry, laugh, have compassion, and regroup. And I think, with your change and your moving and you having the great opportunities that you're having to regroup and recharge, yeah, you do feel like you need that community and that you know that battery life that you're used to. And that's common. That's why, sometimes people work and work and work and they don't live near family, and then they take that weekend and they go see family, they recharge and they come back and they remember their purpose. They remember why they're there. They remember, I'm here for this,
Yeah.
I can do this, I feel full.
See, and everything you're saying, Shan, let me tell you, it still has that relationship with Jesus.
Yeah.
And my faith with him is telling me like that's where you feeling empty. That's why you feeling lost.
Mm.
Like I've explained so much that I understand my emotions and my feelings, but I don't understand why at times,
Yeah.
and it's bigger than just the people, you know. And I once again, when if we're going just outside the Black church, if we're talking about just the man to man or the human nature or just the physical of it, it's yeah, it's the community. But that faith part right there is really what gets you to that when you going through them, when your pastor do something, take a misstep,
It's personal.
when your family member or somebody else going through something, or like you see a family in need and you barely making it at times, like
Yeah.
man, or you may want, I want to get these new J's, or I want to get these rims in my car, but I see this mother that's a widow and they got these kids, and they put it like you put your selfish things aside and you sacrifice and help that family out. That is the part I'm talking about, Dave. You ain't got that faith, you're not doing for anything in return.
Hmm.
And it's a different type of impact that it has. And once again, I only been here back 2 weeks, but I feel just so like, you know. And if I go on my own understanding, it only been probably another month or two. You know, nah, there's something I need post haste. But having that faith,
Hmm.
like everything you're saying, go out and look for. Don't I don't like I never been a person. I'm not gonna wait on the pastor.
Yeah.
I'm gonna lead it myself. If we reading it, I've always been like, if I know what scripture we're reading, I'm already reading by I'm reading at the very beginning of the chapter.
Hmm.
I'm not gonna just go read the parts you told me number, Psalms, whatever, 33. I'm gonna go all the way back a few more Psalms before that.
Yeah.
You know, if you tell me what chapter and verse to go to, I'm gonna go back to once again beginning of chapter. I'm gonna read, and that's how also I vet my pastors, because if I'm reading something, you saying something, but wait a minute, this doesn't align with the full verse. You kind of bringing just one side of it in,
Right.
and especially that side, I was gonna lean into you donating. Okay. Hmm.
Right.
I never been a person that get the entire word exactly, Z. I
Mhm.
never been the type of person that um like, I'm gonna take a granted, but I've never been the one. How do I say
Take your word
that?
for
I'm
it.
I'm just gonna lead just follow anything blindly. I'm gonna have once again because I have a faith with God
Oh,
myself.
we
Yeah.
know how
So
Drake do media. You ain't gonna send Drake, this is what was said. Well, where you get this from?
yeah,
Uh,
yeah, but but that's me thoroughly. So,
Yeah.
and I've said once again, I've never worshipped man because man would fail you every time. Simple as that. But when I've seen some pastors like you own it, love it, and that's know what they talking about. I've seen pastors go through harsh times and got to check on each other.
Yeah.
I'll come in and help with the family, like because they're still human beings, and I like have empathy for them.
Mhm.
That mistakes is going to happen, but that's something about. And like my grandmother, man, she had a great pastor.
Mm.
Think he, think he's still living. I gotta check. I don't know, like, and when I tell you, anything he needed, she was gonna do it.
Mhm.
She was like a hit squad almost. Let me tell you that.
Mhm.
My grandma, and that's the thing. It's not looking for worshipers, and so a lot of men. If we talk about just the mindset of men, once again, oh,
Mhm.
men love that. Don't follow men.
Yeah.
That's what I can tell you. Man will disappoint you every time. And you learn when you get around a lot of women, women want the same thing too.
Mhm.
A lot of power and control.
Yeah. Um, what I want people to take away from this is to explore um their faith, understand Pan African faith, understand fasting and meditation and where it's rooted in, and why it's so popular right now. Deep prayer works, you know. Isolation is something um, you can do from time to time along with meditation. Educate yourself on all religions if you're searching for um, a faith or a place of peace, and listen to yourself. I think a lot of people don't know how to get to a place of complete quietness to listen to themselves. Like how you feel now, like you know something's off. A lot of people don't know how to connect with that and might think, oh, maybe I just need a drink, or maybe I just need to smoke, or maybe, I need to go, you know, and they
And,
may not know.
and did I say all those things before we started this show?
Yeah.
And I said no, right?
Yeah.
I said because I knew that wasn't going to do it for me, correct?
Right. And that probably
And
made you feel worse.
that's what I'm saying. It wasn't going to do it for me.
Yeah.
So the thing is, like, what I tell people, I would say once again, my faith, you can look for yours, but my faith is, my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. And that's what I gave my life to. And if you listen to them or watch the makings of Mr. D713, I've been through a lot in my life. Okay. I really shouldn't be in a position to know I shouldn't be here, and I shouldn't be in a position I am right now either. And it's from the prayers of the grandparents, great great grandparents, the parents, and my ancestors before that brought me here. Um, and when I don't listen to listening to even with me, I say find you that relationship with God. I'll speak from my perspective because advice is just information that works for someone individually.
Mm.
Works for me. So my advice to you is branded advice that works for me.
Right.
So what I've experienced is like you gotta pray. You
Yeah.
gotta pray. Pick up a Bible, get in the word, and build that relationship too. Like Shane, I'll talk, you can speak out loud, but I cannot listen to myself. Because if I listen to myself and without including the Holy Spirit, oh, I'll be in bad situation every time. And once again, that's why when I say discernment, once again, y'all got them things on my shoulder. Like Shan, just know how when I get hungry, no, y'all don't want to have that type of person.
Y'all in
No.
trouble. Uh,
Yeah, so it's truly having that relationship, lean on him, find you if you and go take a visit to church. Don't
yeah.
visit, go talk to one of the church's friends that you may have, and just ask them straight up. Like, you mind if you and come to church with you one Sunday or one Wednesday? It's the full Sunday thing too much. You go to Bible study
Yeah.
and just get that experience.
Yeah. Um, what's the solution? The solution is everything you just said.
Sometimes I don't. I believe it. Sometimes my solution is may not be yours, but it could be. Well, I tell you, the best thing is like we may not always have a solution, but the
Yeah.
thing is, we're still a work in progress because we're
Always
human
a work in
beings.
progress. You always want
We
to
are
be,
human beings.
yeah. And let's stop looking at the people in a building claiming a faith that they are not walking in, talking in, living in. And let's look at the faith and the root of it, and feel like, do I have a connection to this? How can I be better? I think, over the pandemic, we got into this habit of having church on video and
Mm,
feeling like that's going to be some sort of fulfillment. Sometimes you physically need to be around other people who have that faith and that understanding and that wisdom in order to gain that energy and be in that atmosphere and have that understanding. And yeah, that
let
might
me
be.
tell you, I was a fan of church on video. I ain't gonna lie for a little bit. I like, ooh, the children's choir, mute.
Oh man.
And I just got to include Sereni just say, yes, get into the word, take notes, ask questions.
Yeah.
That's something that's big. And woo, let me tell you, if you got a pastor that you ask questions like a Bible study, you ask questions, they can't get, they don't want, I don't know, it's okay. Figure
Yeah.
it out. But if they don't want to answer, they get upset, you just go find somewhere different. It's okay. I support the babies, man. Go listen to the babies. I keep telling y'all that.
The
Love
greatest
them babies up there.
the greatest black people spent lots of time in the black church.
Mm.
Um, and if we don't start figuring out why we there and why we having that gathering, I don't know what life is about to look like for the next generation and the next. I don't. It's gonna be very blah. But
Like, pay attention.
yeah, I appreciate everybody listening and watching. Thank you for checking out another episode of She Gets a Pod with Drake from Everything Culture. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. Check out Drake on everythingculture.com and your favorite podcast app. You can catch this podcast on your favorite podcast app and check out shambypodden.com. We will be back next week with another one.
Mm.
And
Get ready.
yeah.
And we go end it with the pillars of everything culture as well as the mission statement, which are comes from the um Dr. Reverend
Okay.
Martin King Jr.
Urge.
Okay, that he preached
Yeah.
this at Cornell College some time ago, that he believed that men hate each other because they fear each other. They fear each other because they don't know each other, and they don't know each other because of segregation. And because of segregation, we have miscommunication. So we here at Everything Culture built this podcast and platform on the pillars of respect, communication, and consistency, so we can get to know each other, so we can love one another. So once again, thank you so much, Shan, for being my PNC through these conversations. Thank y'all for listening. Thank y'all for watching. And God bless. Peace. Hey y'all. Oh, let me hit stop.